Greetings and welcome to this lecture on thermodynamics. Today we are starting with a new topic called compressible fluid flow. So starting with the basics, we will move on to the detailed part. So these are the topics which I have shown which we will be covering in this module. What do you mean by compressible fluid flow? Then acoustic velocity or sonic velocity, which we are denoting by capital C. Now you should remember here that in many textbooks, especially which are related to this compressible fluid flow, in those textbooks, sonic velocity or acoustic velocity is denoted by small a. Then next one is Mach number, capital M. Again, Mach number can be denoted by capital M or MA. Then propagation of disturbances in a fluid, propagation of disturbances in velocity of sound, velocity of sound in an ideal gas, stagnation properties, very important topic, stagnation properties, reversible adiabatic one-dimensional flow of an ideal gas through a nozzle, very important derivation, choked flow in a nozzle, important theory question, critical ratio, area ratio, dimensionless velocity m star, effect of varying back pressure on convergent nozzle performance, again very important question, convergent divergent nozzle and effect of back pressure on CD nozzles. A convergent divergent nozzle is known as CD nozzle. Then we have something known as working charts and gas tables. So like you have studied properties of pure substance and vapor power cycles, there we had used steam tables. So similarly in this module we will be using gas tables. So gas tables will be applicable in this module. So first we will see the basic part. What do you mean by a compressible flow? So this I will be explaining with the help of some examples also. A compressible flow is that flow in which density of the fluid changes during flow. So usually if we consider the flow, okay, we say incompressible, like liquid is incompressible means density of the flow doesn't density of the fluid doesn't change during the flow. What do you mean by compressible flow? Compressible flow means density of fluid changes during the flow. Now compressibility, this is a property of a fluid, and study of this type of flow, of compressible flow, is called gas dynamics. So if you refer textbooks, okay, there are specialized textbooks on compressible fluid flow. They have name as gas dynamics. So gas dynamics, this is a subject, okay, this is a different subject also. Here in case of thermodynamics you are having just a small module, okay, it is a very big subject, and a part of that is there in your syllabus, and the syllabus part we have already discussed in the previous slide. Now we will define a term over here which you already know, bulk modulus. Bulk modulus, we are giving it a notation of capital K, and it is defined as increase in pressure with respect to relative change in volume. Now this bulk modulus you might have studied in strength of material subject also. So let me show you the equation of bulk modulus. So bulk modulus K is equal to minus volume dp by change in volume. It is also given by equal to rho dp by d rho. Now what is the significance of this? Okay, understand the significance of this bulk modulus. So to understand the significance of this, I'll draw a diagram and try to explain you. Suppose we have a tank. This tank is filled with some liquid, suppose, and we have two objects. One is a solid metallic bar and second one is a balloon. Second one is a balloon. Now on this balloon, when it is kept at atmospheric pressure, pressure will be acting on the balloon. Okay, which pressure will act? Atmospheric pressure will act from all the sides. So here you'll be having some initial pressure acting on the balloon, which is atmospheric pressure. Similarly, there will be some atmospheric pressure acting on this solid bar. Okay, now suppose I place this solid bar in the liquid. What will happen? This liquid, what do you mean by pressure? Pressure is the vertical column. Okay, vertical column of water and air. Okay, now there will be pressure acting on this bar, and because of that pressure there will be slight change in volume. Now if you consider solid, this is a solid bar, in that case change in volume will not be that much significant. But if you place the balloon inside the water, okay, now I am placing balloon inside the water or liquid, what will happen? Here initially it was under some pressure. Now again if you place this in a liquid, certain liquid, again it will be subjected to some pressure. So what will happen? Inside the balloon air is there, so balloon volume will reduce. What do you mean by this? And this will be significant as compared to the solid bar. What is meaning of this is air is compressible, and we, even though solids, see, there is no such substance which is not incompressible in nature. Okay, all the substances are compressible. So but for the ease of study here we assume that the solid is incompressible. Okay, because here the change in volume will be very less. Now understand the definition of bulk modulus over here. Initially suppose this volume is V and atmospheric pressure is acting, so here pressure is P. Now when the balloon is placed inside the liquid, pressure will act on the balloon, and suppose that pressure is P1, and there will be a change in volume, balloon will be compressed. Okay, and that volume is suppose V1, compressed volume. So here you can see there is change in pressure from P to P1. Here pressure P is atmospheric pressure, and in case of when the balloon is placed in the liquid, the pressure is increasing because balloon is acted upon by atmospheric pressure will be there on the top of the balloon above the water plus liquid pressure. So more pressure is acting on the balloon, so there will be change in pressure dP. Now this change in pressure will be positive. Why? Because final pressure is P1, initial pressure is P, and P1 is greater than P, so dP will be positive. So here I have written dP. That is why in the definition I have written increase in pressure with respect to what is given, relative change in volume. Now initial volume is V, and once the balloon is placed in the liquid, volume changes to V1. So what is change in volume? It will be dV. With, and relative change means with respect to original volume, and volume here we are denoting by V and a cut. Okay, so this is how we get the definition. Now why is this negative sign being used over here? Because if you see this change in volume, initially volume is more, it is V, and when the balloon is placed in the liquid, the volume is getting reduced. So final volume is V1 minus initial volume is V, so that value you will get as negative, but we want to define bulk modulus in terms of positive. That is why we are adding an extra negative sign over here, so that the net answer from this equation is positive. I hope definition is clear. So this is dP, which will be the liquid pressure, the pressure P1 minus the pressure P, and this divided by relative change in volume, which will be dV by V, and we are introducing a negative sign so that this dV, which is negative, becomes positive. So this dV value comes out to be negative, and this negative will give you positive bulk modulus. Now there is a small derivation, we are not going into details of that, but using that derivation we will get bulk modulus as this value also. So bulk modulus will be either this part minus volume dP by dV, or it will be rho dP by d rho. Now, if you see the previous example where we had a container in which balloon was placed, their balloon was getting compressed. In short, air was getting compressed. Okay. Now, in that case, we will define a term which is known as compressibility. Now, compressibility is equal to 1 upon K. It will be reciprocal of bulk modulus. So, please remember this compressibility, which I have written over here, compressibility, that compressibility is the reciprocal of bulk modulus. So, if it is like inverse, okay, so if you if bulk modulus is more, then compressibility will be less. It is like that. So here I have written if K is large means compressibility will be less, means it is like incompressible. So when K is large, we say that the fluid is incompressible fluid. Now what do you mean by large? Okay, I'll give you some examples on this. So please make a note over here. Here I have not written compressibility is what? 1 upon bulk modulus. Okay, remember this. Now just to get an idea and just to get a reference of what we have studied earlier, we will see a slide of properties of uh, property relations. Okay, so here in case of property relations also we have studied some terminology which was isothermal compressibility, and it was denoted by K. Now don't get confused by this notation. In current chapter of compressible fluid flow, capital K means bulk modulus. Okay, here we have written small k, which is compressibility. Now this small k compressibility, it is the reciprocal of bulk modulus. So if you compare these two formulas, just check this formula. Okay, I'll paste it over here and you can compare the two formulas now. Okay, just compare the two formulas. So here if you see bulk modulus, it is minus V dP by dV, and here if you see the compressibility K, it will be reciprocal of this bulk modulus. So minus 1 upon V. Now this V is again volume, remember. Okay, in bracket dou V by dou P when temperature is constant. Now here we have written temperature is constant because we had studied over there in property relation isothermal compressibility. That is why here we had written dou V by dou P when temperature is constant. Okay, but when we are only defining compressibility, in that case it will become minus 1 by V in bracket dV by dP. Okay, this you should understand. So just to understand, just to connect with the uh, property relations, I have explained you that point also. Now next we will see. So we have defined bulk modulus K. Okay. Now K large means what? Fluid is incompressible. Now at atmospheric pressure, we will see value of K, this one, bulk modulus for water and air. So for water, if you see bulk modulus, it is 2 into 10 raised to 6 kilonewton per meter square, means kilopascal, and for air it is 101 kilonewton per meter square. So for air, compressibility bulk modulus is less as compared to water. So K, when K is large, means it is incompressible. So here you can say that water is incompressible. Practically you should remember that everything is compressible. Okay, there is no such thing as incompressible, purely incompressible. Always there will be compressibility involved, but the compressibility involved in case of liquids and solids is less. Okay, and we can neglect them. Okay, that is why here we are saying that air will be compressible and liquids and solids are incompressible. Okay, we are saying this. So what do you mean by compressible fluid flow? So I have written a statement over here. Compressible flow means flow of compressible fluid. Is this so? No, not exactly so. Why? So for this again there is a small derivation. Okay, we are not doing this derivation, I am just giving you the result. So order of del rho by rho is equal to order of half v square by k by rho. Now this k is bulk modulus. So if you see over here, we have I have defined the compressible flow in terms of density change. Okay, here you can see compressible flow is that flow in which density of the fluid changes during flow. So that is why if you see that equation, there we have density. So change in density with respect to the original density. So here you can see if bulk modulus is more, if K is large, in that case change in density will be small. Okay, that is why we say that it is incompressible. When K is large, meaning it is incompressible. Now for liquids, what happens exactly? So for liquid, as example we have seen for water over here, K is very large. Okay, K is very large. Now you can say that this order depends on velocity square also. But if you see all the practical applications, in that case, if you consider V value, those are small V values. Okay, so this velocity value is usually small for practical application. That is why even in all the cases, in the practical cases, if you calculate this order, that order will be less, and we say that for liquid the flow is incompressible. So liquids are usually we consider them as incompressible. Now what about gases? In case of gases, if you see example of air, K value is less, so this value will order will be more. Okay, so that is why in case of liquids, okay, we say that liquids are incompressible, and for gas we say that gases are compressible. Now again there is a condition, okay, for gas whether it is compressible or not. So what is that condition, we will see. So here it is important, this statement is very important. Compressible flow means flow of compressible fluid or not. Okay, it is not like that. Okay, why? Because if you consider liquids, in case of liquids K value is very large, but velocity value for all the practical application will be small, and that is why there is not much appreciable change in the density when fluid is flowing. That is why liquids we consider liquids as incompressible, so that we can simplify the analysis. Okay, that is the only reason. And for gases, there is a criteria, and using that criteria we can find out whether the gas is compressible or not. Okay, now what is that criteria? The widely accepted criteria that compressibility can be neglected is when Mach number is less than or equal to 0.3. Now where we get this value? Okay, Mach number is less than or equal to 0.3. You can refer for this applied gas dynamics by Radhakrishnan. Okay, in that there is a small derivation involved from where we can get this value. Mach number, if it is less than or equal to 0.3, in that case we consider that the flow is compressible, it is incompressible. Okay, and above that it will be compressible flow. So below Mach number 0.3 or equal to 0.3, we can neglect compressibility. And what is compressibility I have already explained. Now next terminology is sonic velocity or acoustic velocity. We are denoting it by C, capital C. Now what do you mean by sonic velocity or velocity of sound? Sonic velocity or acoustic velocity, the velocity of sound is known as sonic velocity. And we know that this equation you might have studied before. Sonic velocity C is equal to under root of gamma RT. Okay, now this equation, we will be deriving this equation later. Okay, for now you can just remember the equation. Sonic velocity C is equal to under root gamma RT. Now this is applicable for isentropic flow. Okay, how this is applicable for isentropic flow and why we are considering the assumption of isentropic flow, we will see later. So C is equal to under root gamma RT, where C is what? Sonic velocity in meter per second. Now, this, what is this gamma? Gamma is adiabatic index. Okay, ratio of specific heats, which is Cp by Cv. R, this is characteristic gas constant, which will be equal to universal gas constant Ru by m. Okay, now this value you have to substitute, remember, in joule per kg Kelvin. If you consider module number 1, there we used to take this value of R in kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So remember, very important point, when you are using this formula C, you will get unit of C in meter per second when you are substituting R in joule per kg Kelvin. And don't forget to convert this temperature T, it should be in Kelvin. So this temperature is what? Temperature of medium in which sound is traveling. And gamma will also be the medium adiabatic index in which the sound is traveling. So for air, gamma will be 1.4. For, if you consider monoatomic gases like helium, it will be 1.66, like that, 1.67. Now sonic velocity or acoustic velocity, here you can see it depends on what? Temperature and type of fluid, gamma. So if you consider, if temperature is more, obviously from this equation you can see that velocity of sound will be more. So here one example has been given, air and helium. Okay, we have air and helium. So air gamma value will be 1.4, whereas helium gamma value will be 1.67. So because of that also, here you can see the velocity of sound, acoustic velocity is changing. And second thing, if you see the temperature, as temperature is increasing, as medium is changing, there also velocity of sound is changing, sonic velocity is changing, as well as when temperature is changing, here you can see as temperature is increasing, sonic velocity is increasing. Now here one example has been given of lightning. So the sound, the speed of sound in air increases with temperature, and at typical outside temperature, the sonic velocity for air, if you consider, it is 340 meter per second, and therefore the sound of the thunder from lightning strike travels about 1 kilometer in 3 seconds. Okay, now next definition is Mach number. We are denoting it by capital M. Okay, in many textbooks you will find that it is denoted by MA. We will be denoting it Mach number by capital M. Now this Mach number is very important in case of compressible fluid flow. In each and every concept, in each and every numerical, you will be using Mach number. So what do you mean by Mach number? The second important parameter in the analysis of compressible fluid flow is what? Mach number, named after Austrian physicist Ernst Mach. So what is this Mach number? It is ratio of actual speed of fluid. So let me show you the equation. Mach number M is equal to V by C. Now what is this V? It is actual speed of the fluid or an object in still fluid. So here you should understand what is meaning of this. I'll show you this with the help of a diagram. Suppose this is a duct and this is an object. Suppose this object is stationary and fluid is flowing over this object. This can be one case. What can be the other case? Suppose this is the same duct and the fluid is stationary and object is moving. So basically it is one and the same. If you compare these two diagrams, here fluid is moving over the stationary object, or in this case same duct is there, same dimension is there of the object, but object is moving with the same velocity of the fluid and fluid is stationary. So analysis will remain same in both the cases. Okay, this you should be able to understand. So same thing is written, the actual speed of the fluid. So here there will be speed of fluid V, or an object. So object is moving with V and fluid is stationary, like that, to the speed of sound. capital C in the fluid at the same state. So this is known as Mach number. Now based on this Mach number, for external flow, what do you mean by external flow and internal flow? That also you can understand now. So if you consider aircraft, okay, suppose this is an aircraft, okay, suppose this is an aircraft, okay, moving in the sky. So in this case, the flow will be over the body of the over the surface of the aircraft. That will be external flow. Okay, and if you consider a pipe or a duct and the fluid is flowing inside the duct, that will be called as internal flow. Okay, so here what is written? External flow. External flow means flow of fluid over a body. That is the meaning of external flow. So in case of external flow, if Mach number, now this we had already seen, if Mach number, okay, let me highlight this part. If Mach number is less than 0.3, the flow is incompressible flow. Okay, so directly in that case we don't have to consider anything about the compressibility part. Okay, now when Mach number goes above, so Mach number means what? Basically the speed, velocity of the fluid or velocity of object, and that divided by speed of sound, that is Mach number. When Mach number is beyond 0.3, that flow is known as subsonic flow, and it will be up to, so you have value of Mach number. Suppose Mach number is 1. Mach number is 1 means what? Velocity of object or velocity of fluid will become equal to velocity of sound. In that case you will get Mach number as 1. So that flow is known as sonic flow. Okay, when Mach number is 1, that flow is known as what? Sonic flow. And when Mach number is less than 1 but it is greater than 0.3, so in between, it is in between 0.3 and 1, in that case that flow is known as subsonic flow. Now when Mach number it is greater than 1 but less than 5, that is known as supersonic flow. So we have these values now. Okay, let me write down the values. Suppose Mach number is 0.3, then Mach number is 1, then next Mach number is 5. So when Mach number is less than 0.3, we consider flow as incompressible flow. Next, when Mach number it is in between 0.3 and 1, that is known as subsonic flow. When Mach number becomes equal to 1, we consider the flow is sonic flow. Now when Mach number is in between 1 and 5, in that case flow is supersonic flow. And when Mach number is greater than 5, flow is hypersonic flow. So this is for external flow. So you can understand now above this Mach number 0.3, everything will be for gas. We are talking for gases. Here everything is what? Compressible flow. Okay, so compressible flow regime starts above Mach number 0.3. So Mach number m is velocity of the gas or velocity of object divided by velocity of the fluid divided by sonic velocity. And sonic velocity we have seen it is given by under root gamma RT. Now Mach number depends on speed of sound. Okay, here you can see Mach number m, it depends on what? Speed of sound. And speed of sound depends on what? State of the fluid. Okay, it depends on the fluid as well as temperature also. Therefore, the Mach number of an aircraft cruising at constant velocity in still air may be different at different locations. So this also you should understand. So here one example I have given. What is the example? An aircraft is there, same aircraft, velocity of the aircraft is also same. What is the velocity of aircraft? It is 320 meter per second. Here also it is 320 meter per second. But what is the temperature of air? So suppose the aircraft is moving at different elevation, and because of that the temperature is different. So at one elevation the temperature is 220 Kelvin, and at one elevation the temperature is 300 Kelvin. So here you can see velocity, it is remaining same, means numerator is remaining same in Mach number, but the sonic velocity will change. Why? Because the temperature is changing. So you can check these values. Okay, you can calculate this value and check. So if you substitute the take gamma as 1.4, R will be uh, uh, R value will be 287 joule per kg Kelvin for air, and the temperature value you can substitute as 220 Kelvin in one case and 300 Kelvin in other case. And here you can see that when temperature is more, in that case sonic velocity is more, and if sonic velocity is more, then Mach number, why? Because sonic velocity is in denominator. So if sonic velocity is more, Mach number will be less. So in case of air having 300 Kelvin temperature, you can see Mach number is 0.92, whereas 220 Kelvin Mach number is 1.08. So even though the here same thing is written, the Mach number can be different at different temperature, even if flight speed is same. So this is very important conclusion which we get from the equation, okay, from these two equations. Please remember this. So even though the velocity of aircraft is same, but since the temperature is different, Mach number is different. Now next concept we will see propagation of disturbances in compressible fluid. Now we are not talking about incompressible fluid over here. Okay, everything we are talking about is compressible fluid. So here I have given three examples. One is subsonic motion, figure A. Second figure is sonic motion, and the third figure is supersonic motion. Now depending on Mach number, in each and every case there will be different way in which propagation of disturbance will take place. So when Mach number is less than 1 in case of subsonic uh, motion, in that case what will happen? Here understand the diagram first. Okay, A is what? A is the object from where the disturbance is created, and the total time, and this disturbance along with the sound which it is generating, that object, it is moving from point A to point B. Okay, this is point B, and in between this one we have the time interval is divided by 4. So suppose from A to B we require time t, to reach we require time t. So what will be the quarter time? It will be t by 4, then it will be half of that time, then it will be 3/4 of that, and then it will be the total time t, in that way. So when suppose the object is stationary, okay, suppose object is stationary over here. So when it is, when the sound is generated from this object or disturbance is created, what will happen? The disturbance propagates in all the direction. Now suppose A, this is A and it is stationary. In that case, the disturbance is propagated uniformly in all the directions like this. Okay, but suppose as shown in this figure, the disturbance, the object itself is moving. Okay, so A is moving in this direction, right, towards right. In that case, what will happen? The speed of this object which is traveling and the pressure wave which is traveling, these are different. Okay, so here you can see in front of the this disturbance, also in front of the object there will be zone of action. So here I can give you one example of this. Suppose you are on runway. Okay, this is a runway and you are standing over here, and from here aircraft is approaching for landing. Okay, from here aircraft is approaching for landing, and the aircraft is obviously, it will be hitting, it will be, the speed will be less, so it is in subsonic motion. Now what will happen, just when it approaches you, okay, sound will travel in this direction, and you will be able to hear the sound. That is why in front of the object here you can see zone of action has been given. Okay, sound will travel in this way, and you can hear the sound. Okay, now observe figure number 2. Okay, in figure number 2 we have Mach number as 1. In this case what happens is, the velocity with which the entity, this object, is moving, and the pressure wave velocity, they are coinciding, and that is why you can see this point number B, which is the object which is over here, it has moved over here, it is on the circle of the outer pressure wave. And in case number A, the object, the point number B, it is inside all the circles. Here you can note it is inside all the pressure waves. Okay, now what are these pressure waves? At point number A you can see A is the center and CT is the radius, and this is the pressure wave. Now as soon as A reaches the next point at t4th second, here this is the radius 3/4 of CT, and this will be the next pressure wave. Now the object reaches over here, this is the next pressure wave. So this is the diameter, half CT, and here the diameter is, sorry, the radius, I'm sorry, this will be the radius, and here the radius is 1/4 of CT. So here you can see when we have Mach number as 1, in that case point B, it is on the pressure wave. So in that case, in case of this sonic motion, the point in front of this B, it will be in zone of silence. Okay, so even though, suppose here again I'll give you an example over here. Okay, now this is the runway, suppose, and this is a person standing on the runway. Now aircraft, it is approaching with sonic velocity. Okay, in that case here there will be a zone of silence, because pressure wave will be from this part only. Okay, so there will be a zone of silence in front of the aircraft. That is meaning of this one. Now third diagram, if you see third diagram, it is for supersonic motion when Mach number is greater than 1, means velocity is greater than sonic velocity, velocity of fluid or velocity of object. In that case, if you see, object, it is traveling faster, and the pressure wave is not able to reach up to this point B. So you can draw draw the pressure waves like this, and when from point B, if you draw a cone, draw a tangent to all these pressure waves, you will find that there is a cone. This cone is known as Mach cone. Now inside this cone you will be able to hear the sound. Okay, and that is known as zone of action. And in front of this point B there will be zone of silence. Okay, now this, all the three diagrams again we will see with the help of some animation. So first one, if you see, first diagram, okay, first figure. So this center part is the point from where the disturbance is created, and the waves, they are uniformly distributed from this center point. Now this effect is known as Doppler effect. Okay, why this is known as Doppler effect? Because it was discovered by Austrian physicist Doppler. Okay, so that is why this effect is known as Doppler effect. So sound source is stationary, and you can see the pressure waves or elastic waves. They are uh, uh, the radius, you can see everything is concentric. In second example, here you can see the object is moving. In that case, you can see ahead of the object, ahead of this red object also, you can see pressure waves are there. So that is why, and this is subsonic. In that case also, ahead of the object itself, you will be able to hear the sound. Okay, so that is the second example. Now this is about the Doppler effect, which is for subsonic. Now when you go for sonic, breaking the sound barrier, in that case here you can see all the pressure waves, they are coinciding with the pressure waves which are moving, they are having same velocity as the velocity of the object or entity. Okay, so all the waves are moving, and in this case what will happen, the zone ahead of the object, it will be which zone we have seen over here, it will be zone of silence, and behind that it will be zone of action. Now we will be crossing the sound barrier and we are going to supersonic flow. In case of supersonic flow, here you can see the pressure wave which is generated in this circle, it is not able to catch up with the speed of this object. So wave is remaining on the back side and object is moving in front. And in such cases, again the zone ahead will be zone of silence, and if you draw a tangent to the pressure waves, you will get a Mach cone. Now significance of this is, here you can see an aircraft has been shown which is traveling at speeds greater than velocity of sound. So it is breaking the sound barrier, and here you can see a sonic boom. Okay, so as soon as this aircraft breaches the barrier of sound, in that case here you will see a sonic boom. And now one more example, you can go to this link and check this example. So here I have shown one diagram. Okay, this diagram indicates zone of action and zone of silence. Now when aircraft is moving, okay, when aircraft is supersonic aircraft, there will be a Mach cone generated in this way. And when the observer which is there on the ground, he comes in the this zone of action inside the Mach cone, then only he or she will be able to hear the sonic boom. Okay, so suppose I'll give you some example over here. Aircraft is over here. Okay, aircraft is over here. Suppose this is aircraft. So the observer will not be able, he will be able to see the aircraft, but there will not be any sound. Okay, now once the aircraft passes the observer at certain point, he or she will be inside the Mach cone, and at that instant he will be able to hear the boom. And in front of the aircraft, this will be zone of silence, and this zone will be zone of action. This will be zone of silence. But this is in case of which aircraft? In case of supersonic aircraft. And one example of supersonic aircraft is Concorde. Okay, you can see many videos on YouTube related to Concorde. There is a very famous video, I will be sharing the link with you. In that case, aircraft it was in Brazil, aircraft is achieving the supersonic velocity, above the speed of sound. It is breaking the sound barrier, and since the aircraft is traveling close to the ground, okay, it is passing through a building, and the sound is so large, the boom sound is so large that all the windows on the building, they are shattering because of that sound. That is why there was an aircraft developed, a commercial aircraft which is known as Concorde. Okay, that is not being used for commercial, as a commercial aircraft nowadays, because it creates lot of disturbance to the people in the vicinity of the wherever the aircraft is flying. Okay, so and even if the height of the aircraft is not enough, in that case the boom is so strong that it can even shatter the window glasses. But that is not the case with subsonic aircraft. Okay, so if you are considering our commercial aircraft, it will be in this case. Okay, it will be this case. So you might see aircraft, if it the speed is less than the speed of sound, in that case you can hear the aircraft before you actually see the aircraft. It can be the case. So it depends on the speed of the aircraft. So this is the significance of Mach number. So here Mach number will be greater than 1 in fourth diagram. In third diagram, here in this case Mach number is equal to 1. Here the Mach number is less than 1 subsonic flow, and here the Mach number is 0. Velocity is not there. Now the same thing I have shown over here for supersonic motion. Okay, again I have shown the Mach cone, and I have written here zone of silence and zone of action. So in cases where Mach number is greater than 1, the effect of disturbance is felt only in region inside the Mach cone. This region is called zone of action. The region outside the Mach cone, it is called zone of silence. It has been observed that when an aeroplane is moving with supersonic speed, the noise is heard only after the plane has already passed over us. So I have given you this example. Okay, you can see this example. When aircraft is moving with supersonic speed, only when the aircraft crosses the observer, and when the observer falls in the Mach cone region, in that case only he or she will be able to hear the boom. Now if you consider this angle, okay, here one horizontal is there, and with respect to horizontal and this incline, there will be an angle over here. This angle, semi cone angle, semi vertex angle of the cone, it is denoted by alpha. It is known as Mach angle, and this Mach angle, we can write this equation: sine alpha is Ct upon Vt. And what is this Vt? This Vt will be distance, okay, velocity into time. What is this velocity on time? Velocity into the speed is what? Distance upon time. Velocity. So this will give you what? Distance. It will be this distance, A to B. Okay, are you getting? So this will be distance, and when we are writing this sine alpha in terms of velocity, here you can see I have drawn a velocity triangle, and this will be velocity and this will be sonic velocity. So we will get sine alpha is equal to C by V, and this will be equal to 1 upon m, Mach number. Why? Because Mach number is V by C. Okay, I think this you already know. You have studied this in your 11th or 12th standard. Okay, now from here you can understand that if you are firing a weapon, okay, if you are firing a gun and the bullet is having a supersonic velocity, okay, bullet is traveling with a supersonic velocity, in that case there will be a Mach cone generated. Okay, and based on the angle of this Mach cone, we can say whether the velocity of that bullet is more or less. So why? Because here you can see this alpha, this angle, it is related to Mach number. So if this angle is more, then what will happen? If this angle is less, what will happen? You can conclude from that. Now there are some methods of actually visualizing this Mach cone. I will be giving you some links also related to this in the description of the video, where you will be able to actually visualize the Mach cone. So here you can see a bullet is traveling at supersonic velocity, and here you can see Mach cone is generated. Now this method which is used, photography method which is used, it is known as shadow graph. So shadow graph of supersonic bullet passing through a cylindrical tube, this is a cylindrical tube, shows a Mach cone. So here you can see a Mach cone is generated. One more example I will like you to see. So this is a guided missile, profile of a guided missile in a supersonic wind tunnel. Okay, here example has been given, supersonic wind tunnel. What do you mean by a wind tunnel? So wind tunnel is basically, let me show you. So there will be a section over here like this, and in basically in wind tunnel, now suppose this is an aircraft. This is an aircraft. So aircraft model is kept over here, and in controlled conditions, we supply air from this side. Aircraft is stationary and air exits from this side, and we study the behavior of the model of the aircraft inside the wind tunnel. So there are different types of wind tunnel, subsonic wind tunnel and supersonic wind tunnel, hypersonic wind tunnel, like that. So here example has been given as hypersonic wind tunnel. Now what is the difference between wind tunnel and the actual case? In wind tunnel, we assume that the aircraft is, we don't assume the aircraft is stationary over here and fluid is moving. But in actual case it is reverse. Okay, you will be having some velocity of air, but aircraft is moving. Okay, and we consider air is stationary, like that. So this is the difference between the wind tunnel and actual case. So here one example is given. So this will be supersonic wind tunnel, and in supersonic wind tunnel which model is kept? Guided missile model. So this model is guided missile, which is shown by this profile. And since this is supersonic wind tunnel, velocity of the flow will be, this Mach number will be greater than 1. And here a method of photography has been given. It is after the name of the German, this is a German word, Schlieren photograph. Okay, so using this also, you can see over here now, from the tip of the aircraft you can see one Mach cone is generated. So multiple Mach cones here you can see. From fin also, from the start of the fin also you can see one Mach cone is there. From the end of the fin is also there. Then from the tail side also you will see the uh, cone which is being generated. So like that, there are different methods. I have only shown over here two methods. One is shadowgraph method, using which you can actually visualize the Mach cone, and second method is Schlieren photography. Okay, now I will be giving you a video link of Schlieren photography also. Next we will see propagation of disturbances in velocity of sound. So previous topic was propagation of disturbance in compressible fluid. This is different. So disturbance, which is shown by this red dot, it is propagating in compressible fluid. Now what is the next heading? It is propagation of disturbance in velocity of sound. So understand the diagram first. So here I have shown a duct. This is example of internal flow. Why? Because the fluid is flowing inside a duct. So a duct is there, and inside a duct we are assuming, okay, this is an imaginary piston. Okay, this is imaginary piston. And suppose this the fluid inside the duct, it is stationary, and it is having properties like this. H is the enthalpy, P is the pressure, and rho is the density. Now in this case, what we will do, we will give a motion to piston. So that will be very small velocity dv, and because of that what will happen, there will be a pressure or elastic wave generated in this one. Now since the fluid in this case is compressible fluid, that is why as soon as the wave is generated over here, at the same instant it cannot be felt at this location. Okay, the wave will travel in this direction. Here you can see it is written moving wave front. So wave front is moving in this direction in the stationary fluid. So towards the left of the, as soon as this fluid crosses this point, so left side of the fluid, what will be the enthalpy? Enthalpy will change. It will become H plus dH. Pressure will become P plus dP. Density will become rho plus d rho. So here what will happen, because the fluid is compressible fluid, the this wave front, it will immediately, the signal of this wave will not be transmitted from this location to this location. There will be some time. Okay, so I'll read the explanation of this. A piston fitted in the duct, so this is a duct, is now moved to the right. Okay, this piston is moved to the right with a constant incremental velocity dv, creating a sonic wave. Now here you can see this red color wave, it is sonic wave. The wave front moves to the right through the fluid at the speed of sound. So this wave velocity will be capital C, speed of sound, and separates. So here you can see this moving wave front, it separates the stationary fluid and the disturbed fluid. Okay, left side you will be having disturbed fluid. Separates the moving fluid adjacent to the piston from the fluid at rest. Now, here what happens is, to simplify the analysis, we consider a control volume that encloses the wave front and moves with it. So what we will do, here you can see this is the wave front and we are considering a control volume. Now the thickness of this control volume will be very small. Okay, this will be very small. Now this concept is very important to understand. Okay, whatever is written over here. So I'll give you an example of this, what exactly is written over here. So to an observer traveling with the wavefront. So what I'll do is, suppose I'm sitting on this wavefront. Okay, let me draw an observer on this wavefront. Okay, suppose I'm sitting on this wavefront. Okay, I'm sitting on this wavefront and this wavefront is moving with which velocity? Capital C, velocity of sound. So what will happen? What will I be able to see in this case is, what will observer will be able to see is, in actual case what is happening, the wavefront and observer, they are moving in towards right direction with speed of sound, and the fluid is what? Stationary. But when you consider observer, okay, which is moving with this wavefront, it is as if that you will, if you see on the front side, means this side, you will see that the gas is moving over you with velocity c in opposite direction and you are stationary. It is like that. So same thing I have shown over here. This is wavefront and on the wavefront there will be an observer, and to this observer we are basically converting the moving frame into a stationary frame to simplify the analysis. Why? Because I'll tell you what is the reason behind this. Suppose a particle is over here and wavefront is over here. Okay, now at some other instant wavefront has traveled to this location and properties over here has changed. So this is an example of which type of flow? Unsteady flow. So this diagram is an example of which type of flow? Unsteady flow. In order to simplify the analysis, what we do, we bring this frame into a stationary frame. So what we consider is, now this is moving with velocity c. So if you are the observer and you observe the fluid, it is as if that the fluid is moving past you with velocity c. So same thing I have shown over here. Now I am making in this figure, I am making the wave front stationary. This is the control volume and fluid is moving in opposite direction with sonic velocity capital C. So on left hand side, piston, it is moving in this direction, right, towards right, okay, with dv. So what will be the velocity over here? It will be c minus dv. Why? Because c is towards left and dv is towards right. So this side you will get c minus dv. Okay, so this I wanted to explain. So now I will, after reading this, after explaining this, I will read this paragraph. To an observer traveling with the wavefront. Okay, so this is the observer which is traveling with the wavefront. The fluid to the right, this fluid appears to be moving towards the wavefront. So this fluid, for the observer, it appears that this fluid is moving towards the wavefront with a speed of c, speed of sound, and the fluid to the left, which is shown over here, to be moving away from the wavefront with a speed c minus dv. Of course, the observer sees the control volume that encloses the wavefront and himself or herself as stationary. So observer feels that he is stationary, but fluid is moving. In this case, we can consider that this is a steady flow process. So basically, we are converting our unsteady flow problem to a steady flow process and a steady flow analysis. So here again the same diagram has been shown. This is a duct. So the wave front is now stationary and we have a control volume. Towards the right, the fluid, we are now, the observer is now able to, now observer feels that he is stationary, means the wave front is stationary, but the fluid is in motion. So it is, the fluid is coming towards him with sonic velocity c, and towards left the velocity is c minus dv, and the property is h plus dh, p plus dp, and rho plus d rho. Now there are three types of equations which we are going to use. First equation is continuity equation, which is also known as mass balance, it is also known as conservation of mass. Second equation is known as conservation of momentum. Third equation is known as conservation of energy. So based on these three equations, we can solve any problem related to fluid flow. So if you consider a steady flow process, now actual mass balance equation, actual continuity equation, it will be a very big equation. Okay, it will be a differential equation and a very big equation. But what we will do is we will do some assumptions. Okay, like the flow is one dimensional flow. So we are only considering one component of velocity. Now if you consider in actual case, there will be three dimensional flow. Okay, because there will be three components of velocity: x direction, y direction, and z direction. Here we are considering one dimensional flow. So like that, there will be a one very big differential equation, and we will be assuming certain thing, that like flow is what? One dimensional flow. Then flow is compressible flow, it is not incompressible. So that using certain assumptions, we will get mass balance equation. So the small mass balance equation which we get is mass m dot in is equal to m dot out, and that will be, what do you mean by this m dot? Mass flow rate, it is given by rho av. Okay, now why we are writing rho over here is rho av? Because this is, we are considering density, because this is compressible flow. If we consider flow is incompressible, then we will get this continuity equation, then it will simplify again, this rho will also be removed from the equation. Okay, so in actual case there will be a very big equation. We are applying multiple assumptions like flow is steady, so time, there will be a time term in that, that will be getting cancelled. Then there will be one dimensional flow. So the x y direction, z dimension, if that is there, that will be getting cancelled. There will be density term also, that will not get cancelled because flow is compressible. If flow is incompressible, in that case density will also be cancelled. Okay, so in that way I am getting this equation. Now if you apply this, okay, right side is inlet. Okay, right side is inlet. So what I can write, what is rho over here? It is given by density over here, it is given by rho. So rho into area of this duct into what is the velocity to on the right side. Okay, here understand the what is the velocity value. Velocity is given by c. So rho a c equal to, what is the value of m dot out? So here you can see what is density. Density is rho plus d rho. Rho plus d rho. Area is a, and what is the velocity? It is c minus dv. So in this way I have written continuity equation. Now here you can see, since duct is having same dimension, so area will be same, and I can cancel area over here. Now multiply this rho inside this bracket. Okay, what I can write? So here you will have rho c, and here multiply this rho inside the bracket. So rho c minus rho dv plus d rho c minus d rho dv. Now we have already discussed that this dv is very small. Okay, very small velocity change, and this d rho is also very small. So this will be a second order, this term we can neglect. Okay, so here you can see rho c and rho c will get cancelled. So by cancelling the cross section area, we can cancel over here, and then neglecting the higher order terms, this we can neglect. So what will be the equation? Equation will be, take uh, this term, let me highlight this value, this term towards left hand side. So you will get rho dv, and then take that rho in the denominator on right hand side. So final equation will be dv equal to, this c will be there, c d rho by rho. So this is equation number 1. So here we will stop and continue with the remaining part of the derivation in the next lecture. But before that, I'd like you to tell you what we are trying to derive. Okay, we are trying to derive this formula. Okay, let me show you the final result of the formula. Okay, final formula is this one. Velocity, sonic velocity is equal to under root of dou p by dou rho when entropy is constant. We are trying to derive this formula, and from that we will derive this formula also. Speed of sound or sonic velocity is equal to under root of bulk modulus upon rho, and from these two equations we can get multiple conclusions. Okay, so we are trying to derive this equation. For that, we have considered a duct. Okay, I'll show you this slide again. A duct with a piston and a moving wavefront, which we converted from an unsteady problem to a steady problem.